think we're all about ready to get set, get comfortable, and get ready to go back to the past. By the way, did you like that music? That's some pretty groovy music, wouldn't you say? Man, I can really dig it, you know? Thanks to our DJs and our folks. That song was from 1972, by the way, the one you just heard. Okay, by the way, in case you didn't notice, we're going to be live streaming via LBTV. That's the camera right there. Hello, live stream, we're on. I'd like now to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, and her name is Amy Bodek, and she is the former director of our Development Services Department, which under its motto of Building a Better Long Beach serves as the city's center for planning, zoning, building permits, and many other programs and services, important programs and services. In her former role as the department director, she was also the last executive director of the Long Beach Redevelopment Agency, before it and all other similar agencies statewide were dissolved by the governor 10 years ago. You'll hear more about our program. You'll hear more during our program about the Long Beach Redevelopment Agency and what that agency meant for this city. It did a lot of important work. She knows a lot about what it takes to put together a project, such as a beautiful commercial building like this. She is currently the Los Angeles County Director of Regional Planning. Please welcome Amy Bodek. Amy?
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Nice to see everyone here. There's so many familiar faces from my past, being a longtime city employee here. Thank you very much. I want to start off today, first of all, acknowledging today is the Indigenous Peoples Day. And I'd like to, on behalf of all of us, respect and honor the contributions of Native Americans across the world, but certainly those who reside and made Long Beach their home. So thank you very much for joining us today on this very important day. So on behalf of our hosts, Moreland Property Management, welcome to 100 Oceangate Tower and Plaza. This was the site of one of the very first major redevelopment projects back in the late 60s. And we're so pleased today to be able to have this moment where we do go back in time. A 15-story building, when it was built, it was a very different place in downtown Long Beach. You know, we had the Pike, we had the Navy. This was a very different kind of town. One tattoo shop still remains over on Chestnut Avenue, but if you can imagine, at the time, tattoos were not an expression of creativity like they are today. So if you came down here to get a tattoo, you certainly didn't bring your friends or your family or your kids, and you certainly didn't want your kid to get a tattoo. So lots of tattoo parlors, lots of adult bookshops, and that was the kind of downtown that was in the 1960s and 1970s. Of course, the Navy was around for many, many years. But the redevelopment agency started taking an interest in the downtown and really decided that it was going to start reinventing the downtown as a central business district. We had the DLBA, which had been around since 1937, I think. So they predated and now postdated the redevelopment agency. So their legacy continues, Austin. Thank you very much. So I want to also thank Boise Cascade Corporation. They were the project developer for this beautiful building, and the fact that it is still here today and it is in wonderful condition, and it's an A-class commercial office building with great tenants, including, Environ Architecture, who has been a key tenant in this location for many, many years. So back in 1972, groundbreaking, little kids running around, scooping dirt all over the place, very, very different location than it is today. So the groundbreaking was held in December 1969. I was not there. A number of you probably were not there either. But this was, this was really supposed to be, the high-class business building in the area. In order to commemorate the location, though, they put a time capsule in. And when I got the call a few months ago about whether I knew that there was a time capsule here, I have to say, honestly, I did not know. I knew that there were some other time capsules throughout the city, particularly one at the old Civic Center, but I had no idea in my 25-year career with the city of Long Beach that there was actually a time capsule here. And so to be here today, literally on the 50th anniversary to the day of the placement of that time capsule is, as Rick said, pretty groovy. All right, so Rick, point out where the plaque is. It's
up there on the top terrace there, where we have it roped off with some of the Moreland property management staff standing by and their work crew, Patrick and
all right. So that is where the time capsule is. I don't know how many times I walked by that getting to the gym, and I know a lot of people probably walked by that on a regular occasion. This plaza was different. It was probably reconstructed about 20 years ago. But the time capsule is right up there. They had to do a lot of pre-construction work to open it a little bit for today, because otherwise we'd be sitting here while they blasted some concrete. All right, so that's a little bit of history of what it was like then. I have the honor and privilege of bringing up various folks today to talk about how important this project was for the city and how we're looking forward for the next 50 years. At this point, I would like to welcome our Vice Mayor, Rex Richardson. Thanks, Rex.
Let's hear for Amy Bodek. Not necessarily a blast from the past, our planning director, our redevelopment agency director, who's still a resident of Long Beach, never left, still very committed to our incredible city. Good morning, folks. It's an honor to welcome you here to downtown Long Beach. I'm happy to participate in today's time capsule ceremony. And, I was thinking on the way here, 50 years, I'm 39, right? Now, 50 years ago, what was Long Beach like and what was America like? And, I would like to think that it was certainly, was a time of change and challenge, but also a great time of vision. Not only was it a time where our leaders here had a vision for the next 50 years of downtown, of what Long Beach would look like, but it's also the year that Intel developed the first microchip processor. Think about how far we've come in technology since then. It's also the year that NASA launched the space shuttle. Imagine how far we've come here then, particularly given that we're home to Space Beach, one of the largest, fastest growing clusters of aerospace and space development in America. And so we're really proud of how far we all have come in the past 50 years. It's no secret to me that understanding the history of Long Beach, a makeover is needed. It was time for a change, and leaders came together and envisioned what would be possible. And this was the very first example. This structure. There were economic development goals, there were quality of life goals, and we're proud that we've achieved many of those. And we are in a place where you're seeing much more investment continue to happen. This facility here, it continues to provide, a beautiful space for offices and other things, but also just right behind you, you have Crunch Fitness. So it continues to play a useful role in our downtown Long Beach. We want to thank everyone who's been involved. Let's hear it for Austin and the Downtown Long Beach Alliance for continuing to be a champion in our downtown. The Historic Society of Long Beach for participating in today's ceremony. Long Beach Heritage and the Long Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, all community partners who are all invested in not only looking back on our history, but ensuring that we continue to maintain a vision for a thriving downtown. So I want to thank you to all of you, and I'd like to extend my appreciation to our city staff, particularly our Development Services Department, for its foresight and leadership and commitment to continue to ensure that we build a better Long Beach and make our city the best that it can be. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Really appreciate that. He has been a stalwart supporter of the redevelopment agency when it existed, and certainly As you know, the transformation of North Long Beach has been quite astonishing and stunning. So thank you very much. Right now, I'd like to announce Ebony Pearson. She is representing Councilwoman Mary Zendejas. Thank you, Ebony.
Thank you for lowering the mic. I appreciate it. So I am here on behalf of our councilwoman. She did have some scheduling conflicts, but I did want to share her remarks for this very special event. She couldn't be more excited to commemorate the legacy of such an important development for this area. This time with a different kind of groundbreaking. I know we're used to seeing so many buildings being erected, but this is one that's been long awaited. We get to witness the mystery of what's buried in the 50-year-old capsule, also older than me. I know I'm actually a little younger than Rex. So it's been an honor to celebrate the starts and completions of multiple wonderful projects in downtown. This project is a great addition to downtown, which at the time was in desperate need of change. Some of you may not know, but from the water's edge, it was slowly degenerating. And from the 1950s and 60s, it was known as a notorious neighborhood known as the Jungle. So a little spooky. So to address this issue, the city took action to transform the area into a welcoming gateway known as Long Beach today. In the years leading up to the groundbreaking for this building, businesses had started to see a tremendous and promising growth in Long Beach. From the rise of the 18-story building next door to the arrival of the Queen Mary, downtown Long Beach was becoming a bright new place where economic growth was inevitable. And so it made sense for that growth and trend to continue with the redevelopment on the side of Queensway with Oceangate. The West downtown area has blossomed so much since 1972, and its skyline has changed so dramatically over the years with the addition of the World Trade Center, the Hilton Hotel, the Molina Center, and the California State University Chancellor's Office nearby. So in closing, the councilwoman wants to express her gratitude to the former Redevelopment Agency and now the Development Services Department, as well as the city's Economic Development Department for all of their hard work. They have always done a wonderful job of making things happen, not only downtown, but across the city. And we'd like to thank Moreland Property Management for allowing us to come back and celebrate the opening of the time capsule 50 years later. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ebony. You're absolutely right. We're usually here for groundbreakings. Once in a while, we do demolitions, like the old City Hall, which was actually opened right around 1972 as well. So interesting that here we are today celebrating this 50 years while we're looking at a new City Hall and a new port building. But speaking of history, I would like to welcome Kathleen Irvine, our current chair of the Cultural Heritage Commission. Kathleen and I go back, not 50 years, but a while. Kathleen has been a stalwart downtown resident, champion, just almost not quite ready to say that she and Jim are the Mr. and Mrs. Downtown. Not quite ready to say that, but pretty close. I'm so honored to welcome Kathleen Irvine to the microphone.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Amy. And I will try not to get emotional about it because I do love the city very much. And I think that the important thing to know is that I moved here 15 years ago. But I actually am much older than the 15 years that I moved here. I grew up in Long Beach and I took ballet lessons at Valerie Silver Studio on Broadway. I performed at the old Municipal Auditorium, and I rode the Cyclone Racer on its last day. So I've been here for a long time. I left in 1970 to go to college, and I came back to a completely different city. So with that, I want to say good morning to everybody, and I'm representing the City of Long Beach Cultural Heritage Commission, and I'm so happy to have everybody here, a lot of familiar faces for me as well. The Cultural Heritage Commission is responsible for reviewing the design of all proposed changes to designated properties in the city's historic districts as well as historic landmarks. Our job is also to identify buildings and neighborhoods with architectural and historical value that can be designated as city landmarks. And I think that I would be remiss in not mentioning that it was all of this great development that happened down here in this new city that I moved back to say that part of the result of the development was to create the first historic district in 1978. And because of that, there are now 18 historical districts where we are, where the culture and architecture of our city is recognized and preserved. And because it is Indigenous Persons Day, the final 18th, which was originally the Grant neighborhood, has now been renamed the Neom, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Neom district, and that is in the North Long Beach. It is their first historic district, so congratulations, Rex. So we're celebrating the changes in the city since I left in 1970. Obviously, I'm considerably older than both Rex and Ebony. But in 1972, there were some cultural things going on. The Godfather premiered. Many of you have probably seen it only on TV, sorry. President Nixon was reelected. We're about ready to get into the whole Vietnam thing, right? And there was another capsule, the Apollo 17 was launched. So in many ways, the gathering and this capsule represent a cultural heritage moment. From national events to local and past events, these things have shaped our past and our future and our present as well. So I'm pleased and honored to be standing here with city officials and the staff and partner groups who work together to make this happen. And likewise, I'm honored to celebrate this historic moment with all of you. I and my fellow commissioners look forward to seeing this bit of history come alive in a few moments. Thank you so much.
Kathleen, thank you so much. Nice to see you as well. So on the vein of historic preservation, hard to believe that these buildings are actually considered historic. They still look very modern. But history has a way of repeating itself and capturing the past, and no one does that better than Julie Bartolotto from the Long Beach Historical Society. They have been another stalwart in the history of this city, documenting the mundane and the most important events in the city for us to all enjoy. So I'd like to bring Julie up now. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Several years ago, the Historical Society received a huge contribution from the city of Long Beach. Sounds like my puppy's here. It was a collection of the Redevelopment Agency, including 34,000 slides of before, during, and after redevelopment projects throughout the city. We looked at a bunch of that stuff in preparation for today, and the city has a few things still. We also were kind of reconstructing, the West Beach was the first redevelopment project in the city, and looking around, and I kept seeing what I think of as the Sumitomo Bank building, which is the California Bank and Trust building, and Union Bank building. Those two buildings came before 100 Oceangate, but 100 Oceangate is certainly a jewel in downtown. It was designed by Edward Killingsworth and his firm and that team. And members of that team also helped design the 1977 City Hall and Civic Center complex, and together these buildings all work together to create a certain mood. And as I heard Kathleen speaking, I was thinking, wow, 50 years, it's time to start thinking about designating Killingsworth's building like 100 Oceangate to become landmarks as well. So I'd like to see this building obviously preserved for a long time, and it's withstood the test of time. It's a fantastic piece of architecture. And structures like these replaced the small hotels and apartment buildings and small businesses along this part of downtown in the West Beach. There were also many low-income residents living in this area. But on behalf of the Historical Society of Long Beach, we're very grateful to be receiving the contents of the time capsule today, and it'll be great fun to see what comes out and compare what the plans were for the West Beach area compared to what actually got built. And I think that those plans evolved over time, and you can see in even some of the displays back there that the courtyard for this building wasn't built exactly the way it was planned, and I think that's all some of the fun in discovering the history of Long Beach and projects like this. So thank you for being here. Thank you for thinking about history. 50 years doesn't seem like actually that long, but we need to keep thinking about what was here before and how what we're doing today affects that. So thank you.
Thank you, Julie. I'm also excited to work with you on figuring out what exactly is in that time capsule. I'm pretty sure Google search engine is not going to be in there. I got to tell you, I'm a little worried that 50 years is the designation for a landmark, because I must be considered a landmark then. I don't know how many other landmarks I see in this crowd. So be careful, Kathleen. Don't come after me. I want to introduce a non-landmark. I want to introduce Austin Matoyer. He is our brand new executive director of the Downtown Long Beach Associates. As I said earlier, DLBA predated the redevelopment agency by several decades, forming in 1937, really in response to supporting the burgeoning business community that existed in the downtown at that time. They have gone through ebbs and valleys as well, certainly with the change of redevelopment, starting in the redevelopment agency, and then ending the redevelopment agency, but the DLBA has been here time and time again throughout all of that. So welcome, Austin, come on up. Thank you.
So good morning, everybody. It's a real honor to be here and to celebrate the Oceangate Tower and Plaza celebration. I'm here representing the Downtown Long Beach Alliance. As Amy noted, we've been around for 85 years. We actually just celebrated our 85th birthday this past July, and we've been working in this community since that time to strive for economic development opportunities for not just business owners, but for our residents, for our entire downtown community as a whole, and we're really excited about this time capsule opening. I did also really want to thank Rick Delatorre and the staff from the city's development services offices for creating the celebration today. It's a great honor for us all to come out here and see what happened 50 years ago. So as I noted, the Downtown Long Beach Alliance celebrated our 85th birthday this past year. And then as Amy noted, this was just a short time after the time capsule was buried. We at the organization had increased our capacity, given authority by the City Council, to manage the downtown parking and business improvement area. This was an opportunity for the organization to provide direction in marketing downtown businesses, support for downtown businesses through additional grants and other services, but really trying to liven not only Pine Avenue, but the entire commercial corridors that we have in downtown. That eventually led to the community developing the Property-Based Improvement District in 1998, which provided an additional level of service, which was our red team, our safety ambassadors, our clean team members who you see out there daily, providing clean services for many of our downtown residents. So, over the next 50 years, as we move forward, we will continue to play a large role in directing services provided by the city, directing services provided by the organization to really create a downtown that's inclusive of all. We want to be able to ask, where were you in 2022 and where was the DLB at when it was beginning to look at a positive outcome for the downtown and for the city? So in conclusion, DLB plans to continue our focus on growing our strong sense of community with the foundation of diversity, equity, inclusion, and access for all. And we look to continue to be partners with the city, with our private property owners, with our residents, and with our small business owners throughout the city. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Austin. It's great to see an organization evolve throughout the years, and as he said, they no longer just represent business interests, but certainly community and residential interests, and now have residents on their board as well. So thank you very much. So Julie was right. You were the recipient of many, 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 many boxes from the Redevelopment Agency when the Redevelopment Agency was dissolved by the state 10 years ago in 2012. I was the last executive director of the Redevelopment Agency, although I continued to remain a city employee. And packing up history, that many years of history, because we were celebrating our 50th anniversary as well at that time, was incredibly difficult to do. So we are very grateful that the Historic Society took the repository of the Redevelopment Agency. As the last redevelopment executive director, though, I am so proud and honored to introduce you to a former executive director of the Redevelopment Agency, Alan Robertson. He came to us to this event as a resident of Colorado now, I believe. So that's how important this event was to him. He was intimately involved in the placement and the construction of many buildings in the downtown 50 years ago today. And I would welcome Alan to come up and say a few words if you would like to.
"50 years. Most of my memories are gone, along with my hair. I'm going to give you a little history of the project. It's 21 acres, going from right here in this corner all the way down to the water. And originally it was around 1900, something like that, that it was built. And that's little wonder by the 1970s, a lot of it was blighted. That, by the way, is a term that redevelopment uses. That came out of redevelopment law. It had, in order to have a project, it had to be blighted. Well, this area really was. There were many small hotels, apartment buildings, individual houses. And of course, right on this corner, there was a 6-story apartment building, right on this very corner. And the western part of the area was one of the places that snowbirds came to in the wintertime. People from northern, all the way up from Canada, came down and spent time here as tourists. So this project, the Redevelopment Agency decided that they were going to do it differently than the redevelopment projects that were federally assisted. This was a unique project in terms of it was a total clearance project and had no federal money involved in it, none at all. The Redevelopment Agency sold bonds in order to finance their costs. Property acquisition, occupant relocation, and road demolition was completed in 1967. And shortly after that, because it had 100 parcels here, it had to be re-subdivided, and a new tract map had to be done, which is one of the things I did. And it's in the capsule. So that it ended up with just 3 parcels, this one and the next 2 buildings. You know, the agency decided to do it a lot differently as far as development than what federal projects. With federal redevelopment projects, you had to get very detailed on what you expected your developer to put there. The redevelopment agency said, we don't want to do that. Let's find a really good developer and let them tell us what they want to put here. And so there was a nationwide campaign to invite various developers around the country to submit their qualifications. And then the agency reviewed all of those, interviewed a few of them, and picked Boise Cascade. who originally were going to do the whole project, but eventually did this first development only. There were only actually over 100 applications to develop this, so the agency had quite a bit of effort to go through those and actually interview some of them. And the development plan from Boise Cascade was approved in 1969, and the groundbreaking was in December of 1969. You might look over there. There's a picture of the event where the groundbreaking was. I had arranged for 6 little kids from a local grade school to come down and use little shovels to do the groundbreaking, and there's a picture of that over there. And about that time that Boise was starting construction, they didn't like the name West Beach Project. They thought it didn't have any class, so they decided they needed to call it Oceangate. So I checked with the local post office director, said, can we name that whole area Oceangate? He said, fine. And so from that day on, it wasn't West Beach, it was Oceangate. There were actually 3 redevelopment projects in Long Beach at the time. By the time I left in '74, this one, Poly High project, which some of you may know about, and the downtown project. And those other 2 were federally assisted projects, and they were not clearance at all. There was some acquisition, but mainly it was trying to rehabilitation, get people to upgrade the property on their own. So Boise finished in 1972, and the time capsule was buried on 10/11/72, and here we are, 50 years later. Thank you.
This is phenomenal to have Alan here. Thank you so much for that. As you're talking, I'm sure some of the longtime city employees were saying, "Oh yeah, the Poly redevelopment project area. Oh yeah, I remember that." So many memories of the redevelopment agency in their 50-year lifespan. But we also have some special members of a longtime Long Beach family here. Probably, I would say, if Kathleen and Jim are almost the first couple of downtown, I would say that this family really is the first family of current Long Beach, or recent Long Beach as we know it, over the last 100+ years. And that's the Bixby family. I believe Barbara here in the audience? Hi, Barbara. Would you mind giving us a brief history of what it's like to have been part of a legacy family for so many generations? I believe you were here as well for the groundbreaking. No? Yeah. Graham was. Graham, stand up. Graham Bixby, you were. Your photograph is over there as one of the Bixby brothers who was visiting.
Words? You were one of the Bixby boys over here.
I was, but I have nothing to add because I was 1 year old at the time. My brother Brett was 4.5. Brett, you want to say anything?
I'm really curious to see what's in there. I was old enough to understand as a 4.5-year-old that we're burying something and then we're going to uncover it. So that seemed extra cool for me, like a treasure hunt of some kind in the future. Although, so it's just, I feel like a legacy person, like she said now, because looking at the development from that time to the way Long Beach is now, it's really made remarkable strides and changed in a lot of ways. And so it'll be really interesting to see what's in there. And I appreciate the contributions of everybody who's spoken, everybody who works for the Long Beach Redevelopment Agency and the Downtown Long Beach Alliance. And thank you, everybody, for turning up to see what's in there. I'm excited to check it out. So Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Grant. Go check out the picture of Brett, Grant, and their brother Mark, who is also a stalwart of Long Beach as well. So thank you so much for many of the Bixby's being here as well. You can find their legacy throughout the city in the neighborhood names, in the neighborhood street names, and then also, of course, the two ranchos, Rancho Los Cerritos and then Rancho Los Alamitos. So we've got their history here alive and well today. So thank you again for all of the Bixby's. One last legacy moment before we get to the good stuff, which is finding the tract map for Alan and seeing his signature on it, hopefully. One is I want to introduce to you Crystal Mantell. Crystal's father was heavily involved in the project. Crystal, would you like to say a few words? There she is. Crystal, your father was involved in the construction of the project, and he used to talk about it to you when you were small.
Yes, he did. My brother also as well. My mom is here. She was here when the building was being developed, and also when my dad, when the capsule was put in, she asked him, well, what did you put in there? And he says, you'll have to wait 50 years to find out. So ever since we were a kid, you know, when you're a child and they tell you 50 years, it feels like 100, you know, like, oh, that's a way long ways away. But we're here finally, so it's really exciting to be here. My brother and my two brothers and my mom and my friend were all here for this event.
That's
we're real happy to be
fabulous.
here. Waited a long time.
That is so cool.
My dad was the architect. He designed this building. He was the engineer. Okay. Yeah, his prints were up there. That's his prints up there that he did, the architect. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And his name was Erwin Mantell.
All right, so I'm sure there's gonna be something in there that your father put in there. And Alan, you probably worked very closely with them as well as part of that construction.
Yeah, we're excited.
In the words of the 70s, very, very groovy. That's very cool.
Yeah, way cool. Thank you.
And as a mom of a couple of kids, I know, 50 is old according to them, but then they say, but not you, Mom, not you. Okay, sure. About that restriction you're going to get for calling me old. All right, so now we are going to get to it. So let's see, Rick, there's going to be some noise and construction up there. They're going to bring down some kind of vault, and we're going to open it and display. Julie and I are going to display what's in it. We're going to do a little check box off to make sure everything is in there, and I've got a special gift for some of our audience members as well. All right, so at this point, cue the background music. I want to thank our Moreland property manager, Yolanda Ramo, and her maintenance chief, Patrick Brown. They had to do a lot of work to make today happen. They had to do a little concrete blasting. This is so cool. Julie's got her gloves on. I'm not sure I'm supposed to touch anything right now. Wow. All right, so this is, I got to check these off because I've got the official, unofficial list. We have a independent news final mid-morning edition dated Tuesday, October 10th, 1972. Big headline, plane vanishes off of the sea of the peninsula. Very cool. This was the press telegram then. Very cool. What else do we have here? Oh, that is beautiful. This is a whole media packet, press packet from the Boise Cascade announcing Oceangate Tower and Plaza, the first step in a planned 15-acre redevelopment project. Larry Hansen is mentioned in here. Where did Larry go? I just saw you. Larry Hansen was the project manager, and he is listed in here. Hansen, here's your quote, Larry. Oceangate will be one of the key business, financial, and maritime centers of Southern California. You predicted it, and you are correct. So if anyone wants some help with the stock market, go see Larry. Look at this beautiful art. Yes, I do want gloves. Thank you. All right, Tom Modica, Linda Tatum, Lisa Fall, resolution of the City Council of the City of Long Beach. Where's Rex Richardson? Designating a redevelopment area in accordance with the provisions of the Community Redevelopment Law of the State of California with the very special blue paper. Some of us recognize that. We also have the West Beach Redevelopment Project area, the actual redevelopment plan, all of, I think, 5 pages. Now these plans are, 100 pages long. Oh, Lisa Fall, you'll appreciate this one. These are the bond documents. Where's our financial services manager, financial department? $5,000 bond documents. Amazing. It's in pristine condition. I wonder if my purse is big enough to take this. Another bond document from the West Beach project area, Series A, 3.5% per annum. Who wouldn't like that interest rate now? And then this is the official statement of the Redevelopment Agency of the City of Long Beach relating to these 2 bond documents. So these are incredibly important historic documents. Here's the grant deed. Shouldn't this be in the county recorder's office? I'm pretty sure it should be. This is the actual grant deed for except oil and gas. Can't give away the oil and gas. This is the official grant deed for this parcel of property, dated. I have no idea what month that is. Julie, what month is that? March 15th, 1965. Beautiful document. All right, Alan, here's the tract map. Let's see if your signature is on this. This is dated August 15th, 1972 from our city engineer. We've got an assistant city clerk, Elaine Hamilton. Let's see, we've got Boise Cascade Home and Land Corporation, vice president. There it is, Redevelopment Agency of the City of Long Beach, Alan Robertson. There you go.
I'll probably jump.
Beautiful. Port of Long Beach flag, 1972.
Port of Long Beach, the flag flies. There it is.
Beautiful, beautiful. This might have to fly for a day at the new City Hall in the Port Complex, Mario. We have another grant deed also for some of this property related to Boise Cascade Urban Development. Property tax transfer was $8.40. Title insurance policy was $383.80. What a bargain, huh? All right, so we've got a beautiful map that is very, very historic of the Los Angeles and Long Beach harbors. It looks nothing like it does today, for sure. Mario, can we even find your old port headquarters on this. Pier J is still on there.
Harbor Highlights, which is Port Newsletter, and Miss Universe.
All right. Miss Universe, 1956. Oops. And the Harbor Highlights, which was a newsletter of the Port of Long Beach, and beautiful display flyers of the sun-kissed lemons, right? Before containerization, they were loading the boxes without containers. And then in the back, beautiful brochure. If you can see up here, you've got the arena and the lagoon, which is right near the Hyatt now, and nothing else. So this is a program from the 1965 Miss Universe pageant. I wonder if it was held in Long Beach. It must have been at the Municipal Auditorium.
Those were early redevelopment efforts, the Miss Universe pageants.
More harbor highlights. Look at these beautiful magazines that the port would put out to talk about this. Not much different from the community highlights newsletters that the port does and distributes throughout the city. And as you know, the port offers public open houses. They offer harbor tours. So they really do want you to acknowledge that this is your port as well. 50th anniversary issue for the port. This was from 1960. So again, some more harbor highlights. Also a picture of the old port administration building, which was on Pier J down in the harbor. Now they have a beautiful new building across the street. Oh, and of course, this is definitely not for me. The International Beauty Pageant, 1962. This woman is from Holland. She is Miss International, 1962. This is the official program from the International Beauty Pageant.
So this is a 1971-72 Journal of the Historical Society, and
Oh, Julie, this is for you. This is a 1971/72 book published by for the Long Beach Historical Society. So they were able to put something in there as well, showing all of the beautiful architecture. There's the pier, the municipal auditorium, the beach with the boardwalk and the bathhouse, Queen of the Sea, parades, Pine Avenue. That looks like the clock tower near La Opera. I think that's the La Opera one. Yep. Beautiful book. It's very horizontally oriented, like the city was back then. Press Telegram and Los Angeles Times real estate section. $40 million project, antidote for a slum. That was the headline back then.
So this is a then and now journal from 68.
We have a then and now journal again from the Long Beach Historic Society, dating back from the 1920s. Lots of historic images from Pine Avenue, the first City Hall when it was on Pacific Avenue, and it had a large park Then the development of the shoreline, the development of Naples, the peninsula, Marine Stadium, which, as you know, was from the 1930s. We have an original photograph of the naval base of Long Beach, Los Angeles, Long Beach. This photo of the Terminal Island area, taken in 1937, the Admiral wanted this to be included in the time capsule. So the Admiral Lambert, commander of the naval base of Los Angeles, Long Beach, desired that this photo of Terminal Island, taken in 1937, be a part of the capsule. Jacques Cousteau's Living Sea. Used to love that show. Jacques Cousteau was so cool. A voyage of adventure and discovery aboard the Queen Mary. This was a failed redevelopment project, I believe. Jacques Cousteau's Living Sea is operated by the California Museum of the Sea Foundation. It was somehow associated with the Queen Mary. It was on the Queen Mary. On the Queen Mary, says the Bixby family. You should be up here doing this for me. Amazing. I don't know if you can see this design idea for it. Beautiful. Julie, you're going to have to do a whole exhibit on this as she's unrolling some beautiful blueprints. Miller's Atlas. This is on our list somewhere. This is a copy of the 1915 Miller's Atlas of downtown Long Beach area, including the Oceangate site. And this was all hand-drawn. No CAD, no computers. Had to practice your lettering daily. And all of these maps, all of this cartography was done by hand. Beautiful. Right? We would be in the Pacific Ocean right now. Because as you know, this used to be the bluff, the historic bluff, and the high tide line used to be the street behind us, Seaside Way. All of the rest of it, where the convention center is, and the Pike, and the aquarium, that's all landfill. And so we would be in the Pacific Ocean, right where Julia's pointing. Seaside Way, we're showing the Magnolia, right?
Cedar.
That used to be the Virginia Hotel fractional lot. Beautiful. All the landowners, their names are written on here, so you didn't have to go look up their deed. You could just see who your property owner or your neighbor was.
How easy was that, Alan?
Exactly.
Yeah, not easy.
All right. 16 millimeter film. Who remembers those giant reels that in school, if you were like the tech person in school, you got to like leave and get the big tech cart and bring that projector back and then fuss with it. And then when the reel got all mixed up, you had to, or burned, you had to tape it together with Scotch tape. I wasn't old enough. We just watched. No, I loved being the tech person. 16 millimeter film about the port of Long Beach. This is a treasure. I'm not sure how, Julie, you're going to play it. Do you have a projector?
We do. I don't know. We have a projector. I haven't used it, so we'll see.
All right, so we're going to need some tech support here. People who used to use this, and bring your Scotch tape because we might have to tape up some of these films. And it looks like we've got a film canister.
I think this is another.
Don't open it. Film canister, photographic history of Oceangate. We're going to leave it stay here. I think we're going to open this in a dark room. Beautiful images of the city and the port. Yep, this is the beginning of Pier J. You can see the municipal auditorium is gone, but we've got some of the oil islands starting construction right over here. Look how far away that oil island was from the shoreline. Where's Tom Modica? Beautiful. Another book. This one's on the Queen Mary. This was when the Queen Mary was sailing into Long Beach. So that was a very historic occasion for the city, and so it was very important that be captured in our time capsule as well. The regatta that accompanied the Queen into the city. All right. And this one is a very special item. I'm going to go to my notes on this one. All right. Here we are. This, don't ask me why, 1972 tie bequeathed by the then executive director of the Port of Long Beach. And his name was Thomas Thorley, with instructions. It says, to the general manager, meaning the current executive director, to be presented to the current executive director of the Port of Long Beach on the 50th anniversary. So Mario Cordero, our executive director. Has a lovely tie.
Thank you, Amy. Wow, that's amazing. Oddly enough, I've never participated in a time capsule event. And so it's been very historic. And it's a pleasure to be here and circling back with people like Amy and Kathleen Irvine. I think going forward, Kathleen, we need to change her name. Kathleen Long Beach. You know, you're so passionate with regard to the city and everybody else that's been here. So, yes, it's amazing that my predecessor, Tom Thorley, thought of this idea. And never did I believe that in 2022, I'd be here in this row. And I'm with you, Kathleen. I'm one of the landmarks. If you go back to 1972, I was a student at Long Beach State, and I was dating a young lady named Gloria Dudon, a graduate of St. Anthony's High School, and later became Gloria Cordero. So my first introduction to Long Beach was when I started at Long Beach State. And trust me, Ocean Boulevard looked a lot different back then. But in that regard, I just want to make sure that, again, with regard to this event, the port's been very much a symbol for the Port of Long Beach. You know, we were once a Navy town, but nevertheless, we were still had a port here, participating in trade. Now in 2022, the port looks much different. And hopefully, again, many of you have a very positive view of the port in terms of our economic engine, what we're contributing now. And this is, as mentioned before, Larry Hansen, you know, he had a vision of maritime and the role that it would play in the city. And what a role it plays now. You know, we're the largest containerized port complex in the country. And the Port of Long Beach is the number 2 port with regard to containerized trade. So with that, I'm very fortunate to be here. As you know, the port commenced back in 1911 and went forward to many endeavors, whether it's the breakwater and other projects, the Alameda Corridor. And all this happened after the Navy station closed and the vision of the then Mayor Beverly O'Neill. And of course, since that time, we're a port not just known for moving cargo and growth and containerized trade, but also what we do in terms of sustainable development. More specifically, we are the green port. This port is not here just to move trade, but it's also here to benefit communities in our neighborhoods in terms of the role that our commission has mandated, including, again, working with the nonprofits. So to conclude my comment, I think today, even though I'm a recipient of Mr. Thorley's kind gift, and of course, ties change over the generations, but I think I have a number of ties. In fact, in today's world, not too many people wear ties. So I'd like to make sure that Long Beach Historical Society now is the recipient and the guardian of this wonderful tie and that vision that Mr. Thorley had. So with that, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have participated. And Amy, you need to come back and have a full-time role here in Long Beach again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. I want to point out the tie is a little skinnier than it used to be, than current style, but it has a little logo. This is the flag of the Port of Long Beach, which is actually mimics the one that we pulled out. So they must have manufactured their own fabric or embroidered the fabric with this. So it's a beautiful testament to the past. And Mario, you're going to have to figure out how to top this for the next time capsule that DLBA is interested in putting together to represent the future. So that'll be really interesting and fun. Thank you, Julie. So all of this information, I want to give a plug out to the Historic Society, and you should definitely go check out their exhibits. They are a fabulous repository for the history, and as you can see, history does not mean 100 years ago or 200 years ago. It's within our lifetime as well. At this point, I want to thank Moreland and let you know that there are tours available of the building that will take you up to the 15th floor, where you can see some fabulous views of the city itself. And we do have parking validation information, right?
We do.
Rick?
We have parking validation, extra validation available.
All right.
We have it. Okay.
And I think
Yolanda over there will be leading the tours maybe in about 15 or 20 minutes.
All right. So see Yolanda if you're interested in checking out the beautiful view. We can't thank Morley enough. Thank you, Cascade, Boise Cascade. Thank you, Larry Hansen and Alan Robertson, for being here. Thank you for all the dignitaries. On behalf of the City of Long Beach and the City of Long Beach's Redevelopment Agency, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.